Welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Adio, a social media marketing expert specializing in the wedding industry. Each week, we'll explore the strategies, stories, and insider tips that help wedding professionals thrive. You'll hear solo episodes filled with actionable advice for social media and inspiring conversations with esteemed wedding industry guests. Thank you for tuning in and letting this podcast be a part of your day. Let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. We have a very exciting episode. It's something we have not done a deep dive on for the podcast, but it is something I use every single day of my life, and it is not my coffee machine. It is Canva. I am a big proponent of using free tools for marketing. Social media is free, right? Social media without ads and when you don't count the time you put in is a free tool. In episode 170, I go through my free Instagram organic marketing strategy. So you can go back to that. But another free tool I used for several years until I upgraded it was Canva. Canva, you are really able to utilize the free version until you start making money. And then once I did, I then upgraded. We'll let our expert tell us more about it. But I use Canva every day and I know I'm not using it to its full potential. And that is why I am so excited to have Brenda Cadman here today, because she teaches creative professionals and other small business owners like us in the wedding industry how to use Canva more effectively and efficiently for their business, saving time, energy, and frustration. Brenda is a Canva Verified Expert and has held that title since the program launched in 2022. She's been sharing her Canva techniques to help business owners fast track their skills since 2019, which you can start as soon as after this podcast when you register for her Clean Up My Canva course. That's what I want. I want someone to come in and clean my Canva. But she has a course so you can do it yourself, and she's going to answer all the questions we have on utilizing this incredible tool today on the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. Brenda, thank you so much for being here today. Where are you coming from?
I am coming to you from the toasty city of Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island in Canada. So Canada's East Coast. If you look to Maine, look north and look east. There's a lot of people who don't realize that there is another time zone in North America beyond Eastern time. I'm in Atlantic time. So
Oh my gosh, I didn't.
yeah,
I'm one of those people.
most people don't, because why would you? So
So I think it's appropriate to ask, I always ask people their origin story, kind of like a
mhm.
superhero origin story. And for you, it's appropriate because I think Canva is, if business owners are superheroes, Canva is our secret weapon. So
Yes,
what
yeah.
is your Canva and business origin story?
Well, I've actually been a business owner for over 25 years. I started a website development company in 2000. So I'm part of the old guard. I'm from the days when domains were over $100 and it was a real investment if you wanted to squat on one of them. I ran a website development company for 20 years. And it was when I was in a program for creating courses. And I'd been dabbling in creating courses about websites for a little while. It was not going swimmingly. I'm the first to admit it. So I decided I would invest in a program. And I joined it thinking I'm going to figure out how are we going to create a course, a more effective course that actually helps people, business owners, create better websites. But what I was finding is that people weren't asking me questions about their websites. They were asking, how did you create that lead magnet? Why do your slides look so good? What are you using to create those? And I was getting all these questions where the answer was always, oh, well, I used Canva. Oh, can you show me how to do that? So I found myself creating demos. And then the questions start to come of, oh, is this what your course is about? And it's one of those key moments of decision. And in that moment, the answer was, why, yes. Yes, that is what my course is going to be about. And I think it just underscores the importance of listening to what your audience is actually asking for, because I mean, I am very passionate about websites. I was until I still am, but I retired that business in 2022. But I just found that where people really wanted the help was in utilizing Canva. So that became a very abrupt switch in business direction.
And what a great kind of nudge to follow with Canva because, once upon a time, Canva wasn't something we knew that would remain as part of every kind of tech stack. Now I
Yes.
think it is as much of a given as Microsoft Word,
Yeah.
or Google
More
Docs or
so, I would
yeah,
say,
yes.
definitely.
Yeah, I could survive without Word. I could not survive without Canva. I think if I had to pick
Yep.
one tool that I could not give up, it would be Canva.
And fortunately, it's one that is not particularly expensive either. It's not a program that's costing us $100 a month. And I have a couple of those accounts as well. But I think it gives so much value to business owners for the cost that it charges. And honestly, even if you're on the free plan, it's one of the most robust free software plans that I've seen in terms of what it allows you to create. So I think you're right. Most people, even if they're not in there daily, I mean, I have it open all the time, which won't be surprising, but I would hazard a guess that a lot of wedding industry professionals have it open all the time as well, just in terms of creating their onboarding guides and their social graphics and all the things that you need to run a business. It's become very, very central to every small business owner's life.
I wanted to ask you, especially at the top of the episode, do you recommend for wedding professionals that they invest in Canva Pro or, how important is that investment, would you say?
Yeah, I do think it is, and I probably am biased, but I do think it is a very important investment because of particular features that are only available on that paid plan. Like I said, their free plan is incredibly comprehensive. You can do a lot, but one of the things you're not going to find is that brand kit feature. And if you are operating a business, it's important that you have a visual brand, that you have a look and feel that is carried across all of the marketing materials that you're creating, whether it's your social graphics or your website or your service package PDFs or whatever it is, that there's a consistency in terms of that branding so that you are recognizable when you're online and when people are considering their service professionals. And without the pro plan, you're not going to be able to use that brand kit feature. And for those who are not familiar, what that Canva brand kit feature is, it's a little kind of consolidated area where you can put all of your logos, your very specific color codes for your color palettes, your fonts, your brand images, your brand graphics, your icons. There's a couple other little things that are being added in there. And it just enables you to more quickly and seamlessly create content in Canva that is always going to look like your brand.
Which is so important. I mean, for me as a social media manager, each brand I'm working on gets a brand kit, so I no longer have to
Yeah.
remember the fonts and the colors and the like. And I think that's where the tools of Canva or what you're creating on Canva really combines with the organization of Canva. When I first started, I didn't realize how reliant I would be on this tool, and now my Canva is a mess. It's a mess. It's
You're in
it,
good company.
yeah,
Most people's ours.
it's as bad as my bedroom, Brenda. It's like my closet.
Well, I can't help with that, but
So, I would say having your brand organized must be the first step or a step in kind of having
it's
an
a step.
organized Canva.
Yeah, it's absolutely a step because those are graphical assets that you are going to be needing to access on a very regular basis. And we can talk about organization in more detail, but the reality is that you're going to want a very easy to access centralized area where you're going to be able to access those very specific graphical components that you're going to be using on a regular basis. You do want to be able to grab your logo really easily without having to dig through an uploads folder. And you do want to be able to easily grab that very specific hex color value of lilac rather than trying to approximate it and getting it not quite right or having to open another design, select something, go grab the color code. In addition to being incredibly frustrating and potentially having inaccuracies, all those little bits of additional effort, the cumulative effect of that is a lot of wasted time. And I don't know any business owner who's not feeling pretty stretched most days. So if I can find these ways to streamline things when you're creating content to grab back some of that time, then I mean that's the area of Canva that I'm most passionate about.
Oh, it's interesting because I will spend, let's say, 40 scrolls to find an old uploaded
Yeah.
logo, right? When I could spend that same amount of time either uploading the brand kit once or asking
Hmm.
even a virtual assistant to upload the brand kit, right? If I don't want
Yeah.
to even learn how to do it, it's like, good, then ask someone else, and then it's done.
Or better yet, I mean, you knowing it's already there and being able to quickly do what you need to do and then spend that time doing the more important things in your business that will actually move the needle. I mean, most wedding industry professionals are going to have a whole lot of client management that they need to do, and then the actual work of whatever their specialty is. And I don't want them going down the Canva rabbit hole and spending, 40 scrolls looking for that one item and then thinking, is this the most recent version? This looks really similar to this one over. Shoot, now I'm going to have to open both of these and try to determine which one was the most current one. It's a colossal waste of time, and it's completely avoidable if you just take advantage of some of the features in Canva to make sure that you are creating, setting yourself up for success, really.
Speaking of the client facing materials and the client interactions that wedding professionals do, I know a lot of time in the industry people are concerned, does it look high end? Will
Right.
it look,
Is it lux? Is it
yeah.
luxury? Yes. Yeah.
Do you have any strategy or tips for somebody being able to make their client facing material on Canva look, have that high end or branded look?
I mean, some folks, particularly in this industry, being creative and very visual, some are already going to have a very strong design aesthetic and design capabilities. And maybe that's less of a consideration for them about worrying about whether it looks professional because they know whether it does when they're creating it. For anybody who is not in that camp, though, who feels a little concerned about, oh, is this looking DIY? Really, templates are your best friend. And that Canva template library has just expanded by leaps and bounds over the years. It is far more in there than you will ever need. And the challenge is not the availability of a template. It's more about narrowing down and filtering and finding the right one that, or not the right one, a satisfactory one that you can work with. But I do think it's important, don't feel like you have to do this from scratch. Those templates are going to save you a lot of time. They've already not only been designed by designers, they have to go through a process at Canva to get approved to be put in there. So they're going to take into consideration things like the balance of the elements in them, white space, hierarchy, contrast, all these kinds of things that go into making something look professional or not professional if you miss them, even though you may not be able to pinpoint why something feels more polished looking than another design. So starting with those templates, understanding that you really do need to find something from the outset that kind of fits your established visual look and feel. If you have a really, light and airy and feminine kind of visual brand, you're not going to start with a template that's really dark and heavy and with bold, blocky shapes because yes, you can customize it to, you can add your logo, you can change the colors, you can add your various graphical elements, but you're going to lose the look and feel that was attracting to you to it in the first place. So start with something that has the bones and the general feel that works, then customize it to fit your brand kit. And then suddenly you're going to find yourself with a suite of graphics that you customize to fit your needs, but are going to maintain some of those key design elements that you might otherwise miss if you tried to do it from scratch yourself.
Do you have any hacks for finding those kind of perfect templates, whether search terms we should use?
Is patience a hack?
It can be, I think so.
I think, well, I get more creative with the search terms that you're using. You don't just search for Instagram posts. If you're searching specifically for a quote graphic or a mock-up or something like that, you add more in terms of the search terms that you're using to get the results a little closer in the first place. But then Canva has search filters that you can use. Once you've got those results, you can go in and filter them down by the sizing and even by color. And like I said, you can change the color on any of them. So I don't want you to feel like that's a deal breaker, that you can only choose the results that are already designed for your very specific color palette, but you might go and choose ones that are light in color so that at least you're going to get something that's closer to the end result you're aiming for from the beginning. But I also think if you find a creator in Canva that you really like their style, you can go look at their profile. Chances are if you like one or two of their designs, you're going to like more of what they have. And they may have created something as part of a family of designs that all work really well together so that helps you create a bit of a collection of templates that you can work from. So find those people. And then, that's where I would start going forward is you don't have to go through the hundreds of thousands of templates every time. If you find a handful of creators that you really like who are very effective at capturing the look and feel that you're after, then you've got a little subset to start with there and it's not going to feel so overwhelming.
Is there a way to save templates or follow designers so you
Yeah.
kind of have them for later?
You can follow designers so that when you go into that back into Canva, you can see, get back to them quickly. And then also based on the designers that you follow, it's going to suggest other creators that you might like. This is one of the places where AI can be useful, is that it can maybe see what are you responding to and then feed you more of that so that you can find other creators who maybe will have more designs that work for you. So you can do that, but you can also star templates in order to favorite them. I'm not the biggest fan of that necessarily because it all kind of goes into this one collection bucket, this favorites starred content in the templates area. And then there's no categorization of that. So if you have starred a ton of other icons and graphics and photos and templates, it's just this great big mishmash. And, if you don't have a lot of content in there, it can be an effective way to go back and find them. What would be better is, rather than going on a liking spree, find the ones that you think would work, make a copy of them, customize them, and then save them as brand templates in your own Canva account. Another reason to get pro, because you can't do brand templates on a free plan. But customize them, save them as brand templates, organize them well in your own account, and then you'll always have those at your disposal going forward.
Brand templates. Need to
Yeah.
open my Canva right now because I am not
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
So
It's probably, I would say it is one of the most underused features of Canva that can save a lot of time, because it's just so easy to duplicate a past design than to start over. But if you're creating the same sort of templates over and over, create a version that you're not accidentally going to overwrite, that you always have with all the components kind of ready for you to customize. You're not going to have to worry about, did I replace all instances of that client's name with the new client? I've seen that happen where somebody's creating a proposal or a presentation and they've copied a past client's. And then all of a sudden, instead of saying Angela, it says Christy. And, that's embarrassing. But if you had created a brand template for that proposal, then you just have to, you could have a placeholder name, and then you just have to search, do a find and replace of that name with the new client's name. And you're never going to have that embarrassment. It's going to be a lot faster. You are always going to have the most current version of that proposal with the most current pricing, so you don't have to worry about all these missed components. So it makes you look more professional. It saves a ton of time, and it just makes the whole process a lot more enjoyable.
my mind is blown so much. And now we're going to pause for a quick sponsorship break. Wedding pros, let me ask you something. Have you been thinking about running ads but feel overwhelmed by where to start? Whether it's Google ads, TikTok ads, or Meta ads, it can feel like a maze. And that's exactly why the I Do Society created the DIY ads kits. Step-by-step resources built exclusively for wedding professionals who want results from ads without the guesswork. Inside, you're going to get ChatGPT prompts that write ad copy designed to convert. How do we know this? Because Mark Chapman and the I Do Society have been doing this for hundreds of wedding brands. You can even listen to one of his past episodes where he tells us all about TikTok ads. You'll also get Canva templates that give you scroll stopping images and videos that you can use for your ads. You'll receive how-to videos from the I Do Society team walking you through trending ad strategies and step-by-step guides so you can set up your campaigns the right way the first time. Here's the best part. When you grab your kit before October 31st, 2025, you'll save $200. After that, the price goes up to $597. The ROI on this is huge, guys. And when you want to work with an ads manager, that can cost thousands monthly on top of the ad spend. With this DIY ad kit, if you get it in October, you're spending just $397 plus whatever you decide to do for your ad spend. And the return on investment is all yours and a big opportunity. So I'm going to have the link in the show notes. We'll also link Mark's episode on the I Do Wedding Marketing podcast in the show notes. So you can check out TikTok ads and Mark's ad kits today. I'm going to share my screen and look at the brand templates now with you here. So I clicked brand on the left.
I'm clicking create brand templates. I can work off of one of these, right?
Yeah, so if you chose a template,
Let's choose this one.
all right, so let's say you've made some customizations to it, and I don't know if you want to go ahead and do that.
Let's see if I
You
can
can,
quickly, I'm not even in my own brand. Here we go. So I'm selecting my brand kit. I'm just gonna shuffle my colors quick and see. I didn't pick a great template for that, but we'll see. That
that's
will
all
work.
right. I
That's
mean,
my customization.
the process of saving it as a brand template what will be the same. And
Yes.
so once it's ready, once you've customized it the way that you want and you've got your placeholder content in place, you've updated all the colors, the fonts, you've added in, your logo, etc. What you're going to do is instead of just saving it and leaving, if you go to the share button and then right, it's already giving you an option
Brand
to share it as a
template.
brand template. If not, you can click on more and you'll find it there. But you're going to choose where you want to save it. Otherwise, it's going to do it at the top level. Please create a folder system, create a Canva filing system so that you have a place to store those.
Yes.
I like to store brand templates contextually, not in a templates folder, but store them with where if this was a proposal template, store it with your proposals. I have presentation templates, brand templates in my presentations folder. So you've saved it. And then when you publish and close it, the next time you go to open it, and if you want to jump back into your
Yeah.
main Canva account, what you're going to see is it's not going to just open as a design. It's going to prompt you to make a copy of it. So
Okay.
you are never accidentally overwriting.
Okay, so I'm going to my home page. I see it as the recent design brand template. I'm
Mhm.
going to click it.
You can
Oh,
see
and then I
here,
hit
and
use.
now you can use this brand template. You can also go back and make edits to the original, but now
Mhm.
that's going to make a copy. It's immediately going to say copy of. Always rename these suckers,
Yeah, I
otherwise you
have
get a
copy of
dumping
copy of
ground.
copy of copy of. It's
Exactly,
all of my
exactly.
stuff.
Not great when you later want to determine what was what and search for the right version. So get into a habit of renaming files as soon as you make copies of them. But now you know that you've got the base elements of what you need to
Yes.
create that next piece of content, regardless of what it is. And there's no chance of you accidentally overwriting that original one. You're not going to, suddenly pull in copy from a previous client that you didn't mean to. Those brand templates can really streamline things, but you often can't start comfortably creating those until you've organized what you have and done a bit of an audit to figure out what do I actually need a brand template for, because you won't need it for every design. If you're creating stuff that's a one-off here and there, you don't need a brand template for that. But the things that you're creating regularly, by the nature of it, you need to template that process. You do want to be going back, making sure that you've got all the components in it that you might need. For example, you might have maybe you have a proposal where sometimes you include this page, sometimes you don't. If you create a master proposal template that has all the variations of what you need, you make a copy of it, you open it up, you delete the pages you don't need, and you know that you have everything in there rather than having to go and copy other things in piecemeal.
I'm gonna need a new proposal so I can make the template like I do, one that I walk people through. Because if you haven't done social media management before, you need it explained, right? So I like to have a real kind of like a presentation. So that is really exciting. I like making reels on Canva, but I feel like that can get very disorganized. Maybe it's just how I create it, or because you want to chop the video clip and add an audio and have the fonts overlaid. Do you have any tips for when you're trying to do more intricate editing on Canva?
The reality is, if you take one look at my Instagram, you'll know that that is not my platform of choice. I am not particularly active on social media. In fact, I'm about to have a static 9 grid put in place so I just can walk away and not think about it again. But I do think that if you're editing, if there's a lot of components, then you might want to have a base template that you can use as a starting point, but you're going to have to do a lot more work. And you just want to make sure that whatever assets you're going to be pulling into that are easy to find. So if you are pulling in audio clips or video clips or imagery, that you can find that easily. And that is one of the biggest places that people get very, very frustrated and overwhelmed and will start pulling out their hair about their account is that uploads folder. Because I think just by the nature of the term, it's called uploads. So everybody assumes that's where they have to store the graphical elements that they have uploaded. And it just becomes this bottomless pit that you can't find anything for. So when you are creating custom folders for your designs and your templates, create custom folder system for your images as well. You can move them just as you can any other file type. And then you can categorize them. You can have a folder for your styled stock and break it down by subject matter or color palette. You can have a section for your client photos and break it down by couple name or again color palette, however you intuitively look for content. So I think for creating some of the more intricate stuff, you just want to make sure that the pieces, the files that you're going to need, the components you're going to need are as at fingertip, as quick to access as possible, because otherwise you are going to be spending a lot of time chasing those things down.
Do you have a go-to recommendation as far as, the folders everybody kind of needs to have in place? Or does it depend? You mentioned how your eye looks for things, and what's intuitive for you. So I don't
That, yeah. I love that you picked up on that, because I do think it's a mistake sometimes. It's very easy to put social content out that says the 5 folders every business owner must have, and it's just not true. There are certain folders that do make sense across the board. I think everybody needs an archive folder. Those things that you might need to access down the road, but you don't want jumbling up with all your current content. It's nice to have an archive folder to just kind of move that out of the way. And then if you're hesitating about whether or not to delete something, you don't have to make that decision right now. You can just put it aside. I do think everybody needs an images folder, whether it's a photos folder or an image assets. That's going to depend on the kind of industry that you're in. I do think that, within the wedding industry, if you are servicing clients and you are creating content for them, most wedding professionals will probably have a clients folder. You're likely going to have a social media folder, but at the same time, it really comes down to what sort of things are you doing in your business? If you're speaking as well, you might have a presentations folder. If not, you won't. If you are somebody who doesn't do a lot of social, I can't see anybody not doing social media, but if there's various areas of content that you will need folders for certain people will need folders for, others won't. And that I want you to create a filing system that actually fits your needs, as opposed to trying to fit into some sort of predetermined set of folders that somebody else says that you need to have. And the reality is, if you are struggling, if you're finding friction when you are looking to find a file, you don't have the right system, and feel free to change it up. It should feel very intuitive. And if you are going to one particular folder to find something every time and it's stored somewhere else, that's your key. Move it. It's clearly in the wrong place, and you need to adjust that. And sometimes people get that folder structure right out of the gate, and sometimes it takes a little bit of iteration to figure out what actually works for them. But just keep at it, and once it feels easy to find what you're looking for, you've got the right folder structure.
I can see that's what I need, because what I started doing was like labeling stuff every possible search term future me may give it. So it will be like the abbreviation, the full written name of the brand, this, that. So right. No matter what I search for, right. But then it's so much stuff. So I can.
Well, but that's not a bad thing either. There's some people that folders just don't work for them. And like I said, there's no one size fits all solution when it comes to getting organized. It's what works for you to find what you need in the quickest way possible. And for some folks, they've just said, I can't do folders. I do believe they probably just haven't, they've got the wrong folder system. But if searching just is more intuitive, then use search instead. But like you just said, you do need to make sure that you are renaming them, at least to include some of the key terms that you're going to be searching for, and that they're not just named copy of, neutral, brown, template, ABC, or whatever, because that's not going to give you the components that you need to be able to search for. Okay. Combination of the two usually works, search and folders.
I'm imagining for wedding professionals, either they maybe have folders by couples and they put all the clients in there, or they do it by template type, like a menus folder, a place card folder, or things like that. Have you seen different techniques in the wedding industry? You've seen it
all kinds of things. I've seen no technique. I've seen overly folderized, where, you don't need a folder for every single design. You want to make sure that it's kind of breaking things down into bite-sized chunks. You don't want a folder that has 300 items in it, because you're still going to be scrolling looking for the thing. But you also don't want folders that only have 1 or 2 items in them, because that's getting too granular. You're also only able to go 10 levels deep. So that's more than sufficient, I should say, for most people. But if you are going too granular, then you're going to run out of levels that you can nest folders. But I also think it's a trap that a lot of people fall into, of creating folders for everything just at that top level. And suddenly you still have the scrolling beast to deal with, because you have 100 folders to go through. So you do want to think about what's a primary level. What are those general categories that it's clear what they contain, but they're also general enough that they can accommodate a lot of subfolders within them. That's why something like social media is great, because then you can have maybe it's by campaign underneath, or maybe it's, or most people it's under platform. So under that, you might have an Instagram folder and a Facebook folder and a LinkedIn folder and a TikTok folder and whatever platforms you're on. Presentations might be broken down by year. If you have what other one? If you have an archive one, that one might be broken down by year as well. So don't have your couple folders at the top level, have a clients folder or a couples folder at the top. And then within that, have it broken down by individual couple. And when you're done working with them, move those into an archived couples folder in your archive folder. You got to stay on top of that clutter. There's a bit of a housekeeping and maintenance required. But ultimately, I want people to shoot for about 12 to 13 folders at the top level. Beyond that, you start scrolling and it starts getting a little bit overwhelming. It's kind of like if you've ever gone to a website and there's 3 million menu options, you don't know where to look and you kind of get paralyzed and you've got that decision fatigue all of a sudden. Whereas, 12 or 13 folders kind of feels like the maximum amount. It's specific enough, but general enough to accommodate the kinds of content that you're going to create in the future. And then create subfolders as you need.
The archive folder is what I'm really excited about, because I think starting there will help me have the most kind of bang for my time of starting to clean it up. How much time do you think, is this a spring cleaning sort of thing where people maybe do it once or twice a year, or something maybe they should incorporate weekly?
It's that awful answer of it depends. It depends how much you're using Canva. It depends how much content you already have. Most people, even if they're not kind of power users with thousands of designs, you're going to have an initial project that is sizable and you're probably going to want to tackle that. Some just want to sit down and tackle it over a few days. Others want to do it a little bit at a time, but you're going to want to get all of that content that's in your projects initially either deleted, archived, or moved into a folder. And then as far as maintenance goes, it really does depend on how much content you're creating. If you can get into a habit of just moving things into folders as you create them, then it's not going to get out of control. But I think even setting aside 5 to 10 minutes a week just to file things away at the end of the week so it doesn't get away from you, that could be really helpful. But if somebody's only using it a little bit here and there, that's a much smaller project to deal with. But it is that first initial project that can feel so daunting. If you have somebody on your team that can help you do it, just, by saying, listen, go put anything to do, break it down by couple, or anything that's a styled stock image, go put it into a styled stock folder and do that first pass for you, then that can be really helpful. But otherwise, baby steps. And if you just want to start fresh from here on out, highlight everything, stick it into a future me problem folder, and then start fresh now with a set of folders that you'll adhere to going forward.
That's kind of nice. I like that idea too, of kind of just being like, save this for later. I know what I've had to do is what I love about the stock photo folder is that for team members, I don't want them pulling stuff from other wedding clients and thinking it's a photo they can use. So having that one folder where it's like, you can use anything in here, have fun, kind of is helpful for my team communication. I'm wondering if there's your ultimate overlooked Canva feature, something that if we used it, it would change our workflow or blow our minds, but people aren't really talking about it yet.
I mean, I think we've touched on the main ones. There's a real tendency for Canva as well to fall in this trap of highlighting these sexy, exciting features, like their integration with VO3 just launched this week. And that's got a lot of news coverage because it's exciting what it can do. And AI tends to get the headlines, but the features that really enable you to use this as a tool in your business more effectively are those overlooked, boring, vanilla, non-sexy things. It's folders. It's starring folders that you access on a regular basis. It's using the brand templates, making sure your brand kit is set up, and these kind of core features that I think we just take for granted. But, it doesn't matter. You could have all the bells and whistles possible in your account. If you can't find the stuff you need to get in, create, and get back to running the business that you love, it doesn't matter. It just becomes this time suck. And I don't want people spending the amount of time in Canva that I spend. They shouldn't. If you are spending all day in Canva, something needs to change because you have a lot of, not just your business, you have a life you want to go and live. So I want people to understand the key features that are going to allow them to get in, create what they need to create as quickly as possible, and get out. Go do the things that are more important in your business. Canva is a very key tool in your toolbox, but you should not be dabbling in your toolbox all day.
I'm really curious to know your answer for this as somebody who really kind of teaches organization or is a Canva organizational expert. I'm wondering if it applies here too. Do you have a morning routine? And if you do, what is it?
My morning routine usually consists of one of our cats deciding that 4 a.m. is an appropriate time to wake up, and then my husband and I lying there seeing which one of us will finally get up and feed them and then crawl back into bed. I'm grateful for it being summertime because I am not a morning person. Let's just put it that way. I very much, and especially as an older lady now, I don't sleep as well as I used to, and I do enjoy my sleeping in a little bit. But one of the best things that happened when we moved from Vancouver to the East Coast is that now that we're 4 hours ahead of a lot of people that I deal with, I no longer pick up my phone first thing in the morning to see what emails, what things I need to deal with. It's a much more leisurely process. The only routine I would say I have is I get up, I make a cup of tea, and I am now very good at enjoying that cup of tea before I sit in front of the computer. And that has been a real shift in how I do things. There's no more leaping onto the computer first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I am with you. I am up on time for the West Coast people, but I'm an East Coaster. So that's why I asked this question because I want to get the nuggets and maybe a morning routine is in my future. Though I will say my husband cannot sleep through the cat meowing. I can. So we don't have children, but I think to myself, maybe we could because it's like the way he gets up for the cat.
I mean, I have a 14-year-old and I listen, it's 1:45 in the afternoon here, and I guarantee you I'm going to go upstairs and that kid is still going to be in bed. So that is not the issue in the mornings anymore. It used to be many, many moons ago, but now it's a cat that is determined that it is time to play with him, and he is going to jump and stare in my face until I move my bum out of bed.
Yeah, my husband will actually get up and play with the cat in the middle of the night.
I do not have the patience to do that.
Yeah. I was like, I just sleep through it, but but maybe I need your child's morning routine to sleep in till now. Sounds actually really nice.
Oh, I miss those days. Listen, they if there's a genetic component, that came from me.
The only thing that would get me up when I was in my late teens and college age in the summer was knowing back then you had to be up if you wanted to catch what was on TV, and they reran
That's
Golden
true.
Girls. Golden Girls was at 11 and 11:30 on Lifetime. And if I wasn't up by 11, I was the Golden Girls.
Yeah, listen, I'm Gen X here, so no, those were the days.
Yeah. As a business owner, how do you keep up with your own education? Especially you're involved in something that's always evolving, Canva.
Well, I will say this is the benefit of choosing a niche, because something like Canva, you're right, it is impossible. And this is why when people ask me how do they stay on top of Canva as a business owner, like, you're not going to. So you're going to have to figure out what are those core elements that are really important for you to be able to use it as a tool to do the things you need to do. For me, I obviously need to have more of an awareness of what are the new features, how do we use it. But the reality is there's a ton of apps and some of the newer things that I haven't dabbled with yet. At some point I will, but I can only do so much as well. And by having a focus on the organization piece of it, that's where I will make sure I know how to use all of those things. I'll see where the gaps are. I'll make recommendations to Canva about what features need to be added to make it more effective. And I think it's important to figure out what your slice of the pie is and be an expert in that area. And I'm just very transparent about the fact that I don't know all the bells and whistles of video editing in Canva, because that's not my area of expertise. But I know people who do, and I can point you to the right people. And I do think carving out a niche, an expertise, is really the only way to ensure that you can do your best work.
Have they been any features that came to be that you had given input on that you're like, yeah, I did that. I helped make this come here?
I'd say there's a bunch that are coming.
All right.
I
All
don't know
right.
when. I don't know when. I don't know how that'll all shake out, but there have been conversations, let's just
All
say
right.
that.
Can you tell our audience about your Canva starter guides and where and how they can work with you?
Sure. The starter guides are, I talked about choosing a niche. I don't offer services or courses or anything outside of the organization focus, but I did want to create a lot of content that focuses on small business owners, what they should be focusing their time on, guides them through how do you get started using the platform and making sure that you are as effective and efficient with your time. So I've got these, they're completely free. There's no opt-in needed. It's just a resource online. And I'm building them out on a very niche specific basis. So there is a Canva starter guide for wedding planners. There's one for floral designers. There's one for photographers. Beyond that, there aren't any, the other niches within the industry have not been created yet. It's a lot of work, but they will be coming. There is a general small business one as well, but it's going to walk you through kind of the key components of getting started, creating and setting up your brand in Canva, how to use templates effectively, and how to stay organized in Canva. So I think you'll probably share a link to that in the show notes about going and finding those. But no, those are just free resources that hopefully will steer people in the right direction if they're feeling overwhelmed by the platform.
Yeah, and then I also was excited about, it looks like it's more of a self-paced, organized, my Canva. Is it a course, would you say, or?
It is a course. It's going to walk you through the basics of the organizational features, what's there that you can use, but then it's also going to walk you through how to organize your designs, your uploads, your templates, and how to stay organized going forward. It is self-directed. It is evergreen, so it's always available.
Yeah, and I do want to say, because my background was working for a group of wedding venues, so tools like Canva and not having them organized could really become a mess because you're working with different locations and different needs. So I think if you're someone in that position where you have teams and divisions and locations, doing the one-on-one with you to organize it would probably totally be a game changer, especially if you have maybe interns, turnovers, right? People coming in who need to go into your Canva and just know what to do, right?
Well, and I think that speaks also to one of the excuses I hear sometimes is, well, I know where to find things. Wonderful. If it's working for you, great. You do you. If you have team members, they're not in your head. And you could be the bottleneck in your business that is holding up the productivity of your team. So you do need to make sure that it's set up in a way that's going to support the people that are trying to support you.
Yeah, so I will have all of those different options linked in the show notes. If you're listening and can't access the show notes right now, just go to idoweddingmarketing.com in the resources tab, and I'm going to add the Canva starter guides to that too, so you can always easily find them. And Brenda, this is what I've been waiting for, somebody to really help my Canva. And I think the archive folder is it's going to be a nice, we're recording on a Friday. That'll be a nice Friday activity for me.
Oh, yeah. Grab a glass of whatever you like to drink, put something, binge whatever show you want to binge. And it's a very good, that's the good thing about this is, especially archiving in that first pass through of what am I deleting, what am I archiving? You need to make decisions, but it's not a lot of brain power. So you can just, quote unquote, work while you binge, as I just finished The Good Fight, all 6 seasons. So
yeah, so I'm excited to do that. I'm excited for everybody to listen to this. So make sure you reach out to me at I Do Wedding Marketing. Brenda is not an Instagram girly, but maybe we can convince her with some nice messages after this.
I check
podcast.
it. Okay. I check it. I'm just terrible about posting content, and I've accepted that as a shortcoming that will never be fixed.
We're looking forward to your static 9.
Yes,
that's a
thank
great
you.
workaround. So be sure to check Brenda out, and I will see you guys next week on the next Wedding Wednesday at the I Do Wedding Marketing podcast.